So, I guess first thing I want to just talk about family in general. Just say I don't want to say family is the most important thing because I know different people have different families. There are reasons people have good reasons for not keeping in touch with family, but I've always felt if you do have a family who does love you, regardless of what fights differences you might have, it really is one of the most important things in life because friends can come and go. If they move, you'll good chance you lose touch with them. Uh, but I feel like family is always there for you. Although friends can also be family in different situations. So, but for me, I always say I have a great family. I think I've said it before. I love my family. For me, they are one of the most, if not the most important thing for me in my life. So as for siblings, yeah, I just have a sister. Like you, there's a 5 year age difference. She's 5 years younger. I think you said yours was, but I don't remember. Uh, but which isn't a big difference now, but as I'm sure you know, when you're young, 5 years is a lot. 5 year age difference, but we also grew up in a two-bedroom apartment. So until my parents got divorced, a little after my parents got divorced, uh, so I was about 13, 14 probably. We shared a room, so there was fighting, but I think there's also a closeness too when you spend that much time together. It's hard to remember really the fights. I know we fought a lot, but it's hard to remember any specific fights. When we were kids, I never tried to push her into a fire. Uh, but I can remember a little bit, uh, like I said, we were in the room at night after bedtime, and we'd just be talking, making up stories about whether it was, I guess, our version of fan fiction of like Star Wars, or she had this collection of dolls, and they all had their personalities, and like I do voices for them. Uh, so there was definitely some closeness, uh, but outside of that, we didn't hang out a lot because of the age difference. Never in the same school or anything, uh, and I felt we were pretty different people. She was definitely the more outgoing, attention-seeking person. That's probably obvious. You know, she was the one who she she actually did a commercial when she was a little kid. You know, she did dance and recitals. Not that I didn't do sports, which I know takes away from the whole geek image, but don't worry, I was horrible at them. But yeah, I definitely felt she liked attention a lot more than me. Although I do find as we get older, I see maybe a little less. But she's always been very smart, hardworking, driven. You know, definitely, still definitely way more outgoing than me. And willing to take chances. I find, you know, now we're actually pretty close. I'd say as adult brothers and sisters go. we keep in touch on a fairly regular basis. She still lives here on Long Island. Her she currently works for my stepfather. It does a lot of work at my mother's house. So because I have an apartment where my landlords don't always get my mail on time, if I have a package to deliver, a lot of times they get it sent over there. So I'll see her then. Plus, my brother-in-law does some bands and music stuff on the side, and he does this acoustic thing on a fairly regular basis. Bars and restaurants, and she'll always invite me out when he does it, assuming I'm off work. So I'll see her then. But yeah, she's done a lot more, experienced a lot more, even at a younger age. She actually worked for a while for, I don't want to get into too much detail on how much you want me to reveal, but say a semi-minor celebrity, which led to her, you know, she went to Sundance one year. She did something with Ashton Kutcher. There was actually a video at one point. I'll tell you how long ago it was, though. But her dancing with both Ashton Kutcher and Demi Moore. I know she's, went to, she did a magazine shoot for a Japanese magazine. She was at the filming of some of those Sony, Peyton Manning, Justin Timberlake commercials back from a few years ago. So yeah, so she had to, she's definitely experienced a lot. I always like to say, she got the looks, intelligence, and personality. Well, I got the social anxiety. Uh, that being said, as we've gotten older, we've gotten closer. It's really hard to remember fights as from when we were kids. One I kind of vaguely remember, probably less than anything, because my stepmother brings it up. It's pretty early on. My father was dating my stepmother. We were over her apartment, and we fought about something. I don't even remember what it was. If I remember, I would say it was over the TV. Silly kid stuff. But it's one of those things my stepmother still brings up today. Like the only time she ever saw my father yell at us. And I feel now we don't fight that much. I guess I know how to deal with her, and I try to avoid conversation. I think we're both similar in the ways that when we have a certain belief that we believe is right, we have a strong conviction of it, and it's not necessarily the same. So I'll try to avoid topics I know she's passionate about that I disagree with. First of all, to try and avoid confrontation. Second of all, you know what? As I become more open-minded, you try and look at other people's points of view. And I know both of us, but I've noticed it more in her as we've gotten older. Gets frustrated easily when things maybe aren't going right, especially if you're pestering her about something. And I know there were a few issues where my father, brother, and stepmother were asking her, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And, I'd be over with her, and I bring it up and ask the question, but when she gave an explanation, I would just leave it alone. I'd say, well, why don't you go about it this way? And she gave an explanation, and I wouldn't, even if I wasn't sure I thought it was right or agree with the explanation. I said, I just put it out there, and know not to badger her, because I know how that can feel. In fact, the last, I guess, argument we had, would have been last year. I'm using the word argument lightly. We're at one of my brother-in-law's gigs. I'd love to promote him, but I don't know if she'd be happy with that. Maybe I'll discuss it with her if I want to mention they do these. And I'll put a description or a link in the description. Funny, off topic, but he also happens to, the person he does it with, happens to be a short, pretty, sweet, talented, outgoing girl named Trish, just coincidentally. But anyway, we're at one of these gigs, and I know if you watched last week's, all last week's, I was talking about some issues with my job, and getting off has always been an issue there. And my sister actually worked with me there for a while, which also added to our closeness. But so she knows what the job is like. I work nights and I work weekends. As much as I've tried to get off at least one weekend day, I was basically told, well, if you need a night off, you can get someone to cover for you. Well, there's only one other person who basically can work my shifts, and he works the mornings on the weekends, so I can't have a weekend night covered. And so last year, and I know I mentioned this a few times, probably partially bragging, but I signed up for my first half marathon, for my only half marathon. uh, and getting off I knew was hard. So I'll do it in the morning, and I'll go to work afterwards, where I'll be on my feet for 8 hours, or whatever, a little less, because I told them I might be a little late. And I'm telling this to my sister, and she's like, "You have to ask for the day off. You can't go in." And so the thing is, I know it came from a place of love, but I found it very frustrating, because A, she knows the situation at the place where I work, and B, she just kind of kept pushing it. And honestly, I would say there was never really any resolution to the argument, other than we just kind of like kept quiet for the rest of the night. We talked a little, but not much. Uh, my brother-in-law, like, I think this happened in between sets, and at the end, he's like, "Is everything okay?" And it's just kind of like, "Yeah." But yeah, you obviously as you get older, you're less likely to give more mature of the arguments. But uh, yeah, so I guess that's it. It's less about the fights with my sister and more about her, who, for me, I guess is one of the people I'm closest with to in the world. I guess I would even say one of my best friends. Uh, as different as we can be, there are similarities, and we do share a lot of interests. All right, so anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you have or had a great time with your sister in town. All right, bye.